Good afternoon and welcome to those who have joined us for this luncheon program. We have many distinguished guests with us for the Weindruch Award and Scholarship presentation, and a special thank you to the Weindruch family and award winners for traveling and being part of this special presentation. So thank you and welcome. First, before we get to the scholarship and the presentation, we will have a presentation by Jeff Angelo, local radio talk show host with WHO News Radio 1040. Jeff will speak about the importance of advocacy, leadership, fairness, and strong moral compass, which were the attributes that epitomized Linda S. Weindruch. Jeff Angelo was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and while listening to a top 40 station at a young age, a friend commented on the DJ, "Wouldn't you love to do what he does?" Jeff thought about that for a moment, and then he answered yes. After graduating from Broadcast Center in St. Louis, Jeff served as a board operator for KXOK in St. Louis, where he got to watch a promising media talent named Sally Jesse Raphael host a talk show featuring witty and engaging conversations with listeners. He then worked as the news director for stations in southern and central Missouri, as well as southwest Iowa. While in southern Missouri, Jeff also served as the night editor for a daily newspaper and spun tunes in a nightclub. Most people wouldn't list political activism as a favorite hobby, but that's what occupied most of Jeff's time, until he ran for the Iowa Senate successfully in 1996. He served 3 terms in the Senate, including stints as President Pro Tem, Chair of the Powerful Appropriations Committee, and he also ran several successful campaigns across the Midwest, assisting candidates at every level from the mayoral to statewide. After 3 terms, Jeff decided to not run for re-election again, but he recruited a friend of his that you may know, Kim Reynolds, to run for his spot, and returned to his first love, the media. He produced and hosted local television programs in Central Iowa before returning to the radio as the host of Need to Know with Jeff Angelo on WHO from 9 to 11 each weekday. He loves to engage in all various forms of communication, including blogging on the WHOradio.com website and engaging with listeners on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. He lives in downtown Des Moines with his wife, where he collects vinyl records, follows baseball passionately, and pretty much attends every event on the downtown Des Moines social calendar. I had the great privilege of serving, I believe, 6 years at the same time that Jeff was in the Senate. I was in the House chamber. We won't talk about which one's better. We each have probably a different opinion maybe on that. But I always admired Jeff and his attributes as a senator, and that is carried on in his station. So please join me and give Jeff Angelo a warm welcome.
Senate is called the upper chamber, just saying. I do love media. It's very interesting where life has taken me. I love radio. I left radio for a little while and had the honor of serving in the Iowa Senate, went back into radio. When you first get into radio, you do small town radio first. That's where you cut your teeth. Small town radio is a great training ground because you do a little bit of everything. I've called a rodeo. It was awesome. One of my favorite stories associated with small town radio was there was a small town news director who had been told that a local couple in town was celebrating their 70th wedding anniversary. So he went to interview them for the newscast. And he decided that he would talk to them individually, see how the answers matched up. Talked to the man first, and he said, 70 years, sir, how'd that work? And he said, well, night before we got married, my bride and I, we made a decision. It's a rule we have stuck to for the rest of our lives. She would make all the little decisions, and I would make all the big decisions. And the radio reporter said, 70 years, how's that working? The guy says, great, no big decisions. My favorite individual story as an employee of WHO Radio has to do with one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done. William Shatner with Captain Kirk on Star Trek was coming to Iowa for a one-man show, and I got the chance to interview him. Now, he could not appear on the show live, so I pre-recorded an interview with him. So I was in what's called the pre-record studio. Phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was William Shatner's assistant. She said, I'm going to get Mr. Shatner right now. A little bit of pause, and he came on, Jeffrey, William Shatner. I said, great to talk to you. So we chatted a little bit, and I said, how do you want me to call you in this interview? Are you Mr. Shatner, or you're William, or are you Bill? He said, oh, call me Bill. He said, I call you Jeffrey? And I said, well, Bill, I said, only my mom calls me Jeffrey. You can call me Jeff. And he said, I would be honored if it was me and your mom who called you Jeffrey. I said, okay. So we did the interview, and as we got done with the interview, I said, Bill, thank you very much for your time today. Best wishes with the show. We'll talk again soon. And he ended the interview by going, Jeffrey, best wishes. So now, when somebody comes up to me and they say, can I call you Jeffrey? I say, look, there's only two people in this world that call me Jeffrey. My mom and William Shatner. I always thought that was pretty cool, pretty cool. We are here partly today to honor the memory of a man that I served with in the Iowa legislature, Michael Sadler. I knew Michael from the very beginning, from day one, in my service in the legislature, and worked with him on a number of important issues. Michael was one of the most respected lobbyists and advocates at the Capitol. And the reason for that was when you got to know Michael, you found out immediately that his heart was in the right place. That is, why he did what he did was he believed that people needed to advocate for a better world. They had to work for a better world. They had to work for a better quality of life for their friends and neighbors. These things don't happen by magic. People have to do it. We're not a monarchy. We're not a dictatorship. It's we the people. And people like Michael made important things happen in the quality of his neighbors' lives through his constant advocacy, not just as a lobbyist, but through his community activism as well. We all saw that as policymakers. We all knew that his heart was in the right place. So when Michael came to talk to us about the issues that mattered, we listened, we worked with him, because we knew in the end that his heart was all about making a better Iowa. It is fantastic today that he is going to be receiving an award named for Linda Weindruch. There are some qualities associated with both Michael and Linda that we honor today in this award. And they're very, very important. They are important because of the principle that I just gave you, which is a better society, a better Iowa, a better world will not happen by accident. It will only happen because people have these qualities that Linda had, that Michael had, and that you need to carry in your heart and your soul as you move forward as part of the Iowa Taxpayers Association to make this a better world. Taking a look at those attributes, for example, advocacy, well, I just talked about that. You have to be an advocate. The things that go on in this world, whether or not we're going to have a better world, a better healthcare system, a better tax system, a better environment, a better culture, that has to do with people advocating. I'm very blessed. I live in downtown Des Moines, and those of you that listen to the radio show know how much I love to live in downtown Des Moines. The vibrancy of downtown Des Moines did not happen by accident. It happens because people worked for it and continue to work for it this very day. I interview them on the radio show every day. We're talking about having a water trail now in central Iowa. There's going to be a big skate park. There's that wonderful sculpture park. There's all these different things that are going on because people care enough to advocate. It isn't a vibrant area because of an accident. It is a vibrant area because people care enough to get involved and do something. And this is a great country, and we get to do that. Another attribute honored in this award today is leadership. This is really, really important, and it's an important lesson to convey to young people. Now, I'm not going to be one of those old guys that stand up here, these young people today, but I will tell you about these young people, being the father of 3. This is the sorry generation. Now, if you got a young person in your life, you know what I'm talking about, right? Sorry, sorry. And because they're Iowans, you always get ope too. Ope, sorry, sorry. And I'll talk to my daughter's friends and I'll be like, look, you don't have to be sorry. Sorry for being sorry. I worry about that because we need leadership in our society, and I want young people not to be apologetic about being leaders. Now, what is leadership? It isn't the iron fist, being mean about something, imposing your will on other people. Leadership is someone needs to make a decision. Now, good leadership requires listening, taking in some advice, some information from the people that are around you, but somebody's got to make a decision. As you heard in the introduction, I was very blessed in the Iowa Senate to hold leadership positions. You have to be willing to accept that somebody has to move things forward. And so again, I'm not one of those guys that rails against young people, because I love our young people and they are the future. When I just hear people so apologetic or doing the ope or sorry thing, I say, look, here's what the qualities of leadership contain. This isn't having an iron fist. This is gathering information, listening, but somebody needs to make a decision. We need you to be a leader for tomorrow. The issue of fairness is also exemplified in this award. And this is very important for me. And if I were to talk to you about how my life and my approach to things was affected by being a legislator, fairness is one of the qualities that was really developed. Because like a lot of people, I came into the Iowa legislature as an activist for one side. I happened to be a conservative Republican. I now describe my political philosophy as center-right with libertarian flourishes. You never really quite know. I might surprise you every once in a while. But I came in with an activist attitude. I'm going to show these people. And then you realized that the way to really get things done was to, first of all, fairly understand the people that you disagree with, listen to what they have to say, and then move forward with them. Because one of the things I really loved about serving in the Iowa legislature was, despite all of the differences that we might have, it was a given that in the end of the year, we will actually do things. We will actually accomplish things in regard to the most important issues of the year. And that's still, the legislators that are here today, I still honor that's what the legislature does. That means listening, that means being fair, that means fairly understanding where the other side, the people that disagree with you, are coming from. Just this morning on the radio show, my very first guest was Tom Steyer, talking about his role in last night's Democratic debate. And I promise you, because we're the radio station of Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh, that I will get texts that say, don't you put that guy on the air, I don't want to hear that. And I understand that there are a certain core group of listeners that I understand they don't like that. But I have a bigger group of listeners that understand what the show is all about, which is, you don't have to agree with what you're hearing, but I do want you to understand, and that's where a lot of my questions come from. Well, why is climate change so important to you? Why should we impeach this president? That's a very serious topic that's going on right now. And I want to let him answer, even if I'm not agreeing with what I have to say. Fairness is really important if you're going to get to solutions eventually on an issue. You need to understand completely what all the sides of that issue are. An attribute of this award is strong moral compass. Now, that is something that we truly and sorely need in our society today. Now, that doesn't mean to me strong moral compass means that you're judging other people, that you say, you're terrible for this, you're terrible for that. Here's what that means, and you're seeing this in politics today. A lot of national politics has become a game of revenge, which is you become the thing you don't like to teach the other side a lesson. So this side did something and you didn't like it, and you railed against it. But then a couple of years later, you're going to turn around and do the same thing just so they know how it feels. Well, wait a minute. Didn't you say you didn't like this kind of thing? Yeah, but now they did it and I'm doing it and I'm really showing them. That's actually not something I'm very favorable to. I have a story in connection with this. I was at the Iowa State Fair a few years back, and a presidential candidate was campaigning on the fairgrounds. And I don't remember who it was, and that's a very Iowan thing to say. There's a presidential candidate, I don't remember who it was. People in Mississippi are not saying that, I guarantee you. But Iowans do, I don't remember who that was. And so there was this gaggle of reporters that was following this candidate around. And the gaggle of reporters moved on with the candidate, but one reporter stayed behind, and he was texting on his phone. And my son was with me at the time, and my son was just a year away from voting age. And I realized that the guy that had stayed behind was campaign Carl Cameron from Fox News, a guy that I watched a lot, really respected. And I said to my son, Logan, let's go over and talk to him. Okay. So we go. And I said, Campaign Carl, Jeff Angelo's my son, Logan, really a pleasure to meet you, really enjoy your work. And he looked at my son, he said, son, how old are you? Logan told him, and he said, so you're going to be voting soon? And my son said, yes. And Carl said, well, I got an important piece of advice to give you. Don't listen to me. And he just kind of paused. And he said, and don't listen to Fox. He said, don't listen to me, don't listen to Fox. He said, I want you to hear me, I want you to hear Fox, I want you to hear CNN, I want you to read a lot, I want you to study websites, I want you to read books. Then you make up your own mind, and then you hold these politicians accountable for the principles you advocate for. You don't let me tell you how to think, don't let anybody else tell you how to think. You decide, then stick to those principles and hold the politicians accountable. And after that campaign, Carl retired, and I realized that he was really passionate about giving this message to people before he retired. And that's what I'm saying is very, very important to you today. What are your principles? What are your principles? Hold the politicians of both political parties accountable to those principles. You don't have to adjust them for whoever's in office or play the game of political revenge because they did this, now I'm going to do the same thing. Stay consistent and hold the politicians to your principles. To me, that will be the most effective way of getting policy passed in the future. So I'm on the air each day. I will give you my opinion on things. You don't have to take my advice. You should. It's the best advice out there. But if you don't, I hope that I can add to the conversation each day, whether you're hearing something that you agree with from me, whether you're hearing something that you agree with a guest or caller that doesn't agree with me. And I hope that you will stay steadfast in those principles that you have, and you will advocate for those principles. Hold your elected officials accountable for that. Be fair to the other side of the argument. Don't do the straw man argument where you're making up the argument that you want to argue against. And then advocate, advocate, advocate. This better world that we're building doesn't come together by accident. It comes together through the hard work of people like you and like Linda and like Michael and like the Iowa Taxpayers Association. Thanks very much for coming today.
Thank you, Jeff. I knew you'd do a great job in what we were wanting. You gave exactly what we wanted to hear and what people need to hear and the way we need to all react. You even surpassed the great expectation I had from you. So thank you. Thank you very much. And I didn't know Linda, but I know I've heard a lot about her, and I certainly knew Michael, and both of those individuals, I'm sure, just appreciated that speech very much. So thank you very much, Jeff. Next, we will have the Linda S. Weindruch Award and Scholarship presentation. I will now introduce Bruce Baker with Nyemaster Good PC. Bruce is the committee chair of the Linda S. Weindruch Award Committee, and Bruce knew Linda well, and I look forward to hearing about this year's award and scholarship recipients. Bruce?
Thank you, Tom. As in years past, the association has much to be grateful for and many individuals to thank for the success. This afternoon, we honor Linda S. Weindruch for her tireless efforts to move the association forward and speak up for sound business tax policy. In 2004, the Iowa Taxpayers Association lost a board member, a colleague, and a friend. After a lengthy battle with MS, Linda S. Weindruch passed away, leaving behind many family members, friends, and colleagues to cherish her memory. In memory and recognition of Linda, the Iowa Taxpayers Association created an award in her name. This award honors her commitment to the principles of leadership, advocacy, fairness, and a strong moral compass. The Iowa Taxpayers Association would like to thank Linda's brother, Bruce Weindruch, and the entire Weindruch family for sponsorship of this beautiful award, which sits on the table to my left. Joining us today from the Weindruch family is Bruce Weindruch. Welcome also to the friends and colleagues who are present here today to honor Linda and this year's award and scholarship recipients. I'd like to ask at this time that any former award or scholarship recipient present here today, please stand up to be recognized. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Bruce Weindruch up to the podium with me and say a few words on behalf of Linda and the Weindruch family.
Good afternoon, everyone. The last thing you need to hear is from another person from Washington, D.C. who's coming out to Iowa to talk to you. So I'm just going to make this real brief. First of all, thank you very much to the association for continuing this award in my sister's name. I stopped yesterday in the Quad Cities and visited with Linda. It reminded me, I looked at her gravestone and it says, determined, loyal, and loved. And when I come to these meetings, I get a little bit of that from everybody. I hear about how determined she was. Sometimes it goes beyond the word determined. Loyal, yeah, she could be loyal and determined. And yes, she was loved. And this has given us a great opportunity, the family, to be involved. I think the greatest thing for me is to see now, this will be our 15th award winner, and it'll be our 10th scholarship winner. And thank you to people like Bruce. This is now the next generation. And they don't all have to be called Bruce, by the way, but I believe we had an award, a previous scholarship winner, Kimberly Sievers, on the selection committee. So now this thing is really becoming an institution. So as long as you guys find it of value, as long as it represents what you believe in, which I truly think it does, we're more than happy to support it. And on behalf of my mom, who would love to get here sometime, and we'll get her here sometime, and my family, thank you very much. And congratulations to this year's winners. Each time I see them, it just reinforces in my mind the role that people play. To Jeff's point, the role that people play in making change. And Linda would have absolutely loved today's talk because she believed that truly. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. And at this time, I'd like to announce this year's recipient and say a few words about him. Michael Sadler was selected as the recipient of the 2019 Iowa Taxpayers Association Award in recognition for his outstanding efforts to promote fair tax policies for Iowa's telecommunications industry. Michael was a friend to all. He was a big man with a big smile and an even bigger heart. His friendly demeanor and a measured approach to solving difficult tax problems had a positive influence on everyone, regardless of their position on the particular issue at hand. And as Jeff noted earlier, Michael he got things done because through the way he did things, and really was a remarkable man. Unfortunately, he passed away just about a year ago, far too young, and is not able to be here with us today. A few words about Michael's background. He was a 1985 graduate of Dowling Catholic High School, a 1989 graduate of Simpson College. He received his MBA in management from Upper Iowa University. Michael was a longtime employee of CenturyLink and before that US West Quest, where he began in the call center in 1994 and climbed the ladder quickly to become Assistant Vice President of Public Policy. Michael was very active in his community and received numerous accolades for his efforts and dedication to service. For instance, he was named Fundraiser of the Year by the American Diabetes Association in 2003, Iowan of the Day for the 2009 Iowa State Fair, and 40 Under 40 Alumnus of the Year in 2014, to name just a few of the awards and honors that Michael received. Michael was an active member of the Iowa Taxpayers Association. He had all the attributes that epitomized Linda S. Weindruch and worked tirelessly in developing sound tax policy for the benefit of Iowa. Linda, the ITA, and Michael Sadler have all contributed much to Iowa's business tax legacy. Today, accepting the award on behalf of Michael is Wayne Johnson. Michael's daughter, who's also named Michael, M-Y-K-A-L, could not be here today because of a school commitment. So Wayne, a former colleague of Michael's at CenturyLink, is here to join us and to accept the award on behalf of Michael.
Thank you, Bruce. I understand that this is being recorded, and so I'd like to address Michael Sadler's daughter, Michael, if I could. Michael, thank you so much for entrusting me with accepting this award on your behalf. It means a great deal to me that you would do that. I sat on the couch in your father's office. I'm sorry. I knew this was going to be hard for me. Countless times, and listened to him talk about your accomplishments, his visits to you when you were in school, and it was obvious how much he loved you. He was so very, very proud of you. And again, thank you for allowing me to do this. Talk a little bit about leadership. You've heard here how Michael worked the Capitol. Jeff's words were so right on. But I'm going to give you a little different perspective. I worked for Michael. Michael was my boss. He was my friend, but he was my boss. But I never considered it that way. He made me feel like we were a team. He made me feel like I was his partner. It was easy to work for him. It was easy for me to give 110% every day. And it was such a joy to work along with him, both up at the Capitol or through many of his other endeavors. He was just a wonderful man. You talk about a strong moral compass. Michael had that from deep within, but he would like to teach the youth or give the youth the opportunity to also develop that strong moral compass. So I'm going to talk about a couple. He was involved in so many things here, but I'm going to talk about a couple that I think meant a lot to him. One was the first tee, teaching young kids about golf. You know, you think, oh, geez, just a sport. But golf teaches you certain things. Michael always thought it was very easy to do the right thing when there's a whole bunch of people around. Golf teaches you to do the right thing when nobody's looking. It's so easy to kick that ball out from behind the tree, right? Prove your score a little bit, but what are you doing to yourself? And that's the lesson he wanted to bring to those kids through his efforts in that. One of the other groups that I know he was involved in, and I got to visit with them after his passing, was Junior Achievement. Junior Achievement gave the chance for kids to see what business was about, to actually participate in their Main Street, their Business Main Street program, to see what it was like to work and run. And, they dealt with fake money and they dealt with things, but they had to make decisions. They had to make business decisions. And they got the opportunity to actually talk to various leaders in the community, visit with them, and it was just a wonderful program. But he was involved in so many of those. So as I leave here today, and I'm looking out at all these faces, you represent a lot of organizations, I would challenge you to continue that. Pick it up, take it up in your life. Have your organization support some of these groups, help these kids, because as Jeff said earlier, they're our future. They're who we're going to be relying on as I've gone into retirement now. So, let's give them the right direction. And finally, I want to say this wasn't just underprivileged youth. This was any youth. Michael didn't care. Basketball. It was just such a wonderful thing. So I'm very proud to be here and accept this award. I think it's very fitting of Michael, and thank you very much.
Thank you again, Wayne, for being here today and sharing those very thoughtful and touching words about Michael and just the whole meaning of this award. So I know it means a lot to Michael's daughter, and I'm sure this video will mean a lot to her. So at this time, it's my pleasure to present the Weindruch Scholarship recipient. This year, the Scholarship Award is being presented to Benjamin Nielsen. The award, before I have called Benjamin up, I want to recognize the award was first given in 2010 at ITA's 75th anniversary. It recognizes outstanding accomplishments and educational pursuit of experiences promoting and protecting the principles of fair business and law policies. It's co-sponsored by the Iowa Taxpayers Association and the Weindruch family. Again, thank you to Drake University for their guidance in this process. And I'd again like to announce Benjamin Nielsen as this year's recipient. A little bit about Benjamin before I call him up. Benjamin was born and raised in Iowa City. He earned a bachelor's degree in sociology and a certificate in entrepreneurial management from the University of Iowa in May of 2016. He's currently a third-year student at Drake University Law School in Des Moines, where he focuses on business and tax law. This year, Ben is participating in the 2019 ABA Law Student Tax Challenge, which is a moot court alternative in which two-person teams of students are tasked with solving cutting-edge and complex business problems that may arise in everyday tax practice. In addition, he currently works as a judicial intern with the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Iowa. And prior to that, he served as a law clerk for Global Atlantic Financial Group in Des Moines. He worked on a number of issues related to domestic and international estate tax. As a second-year student, Benjamin had the opportunity to work as a student attorney in the transactional practice of the Drake Legal Clinic, where he provided legal assistance to business startups, entrepreneurs, and community nonprofit organizations to help them establish successful enterprises. Ben is joined today with Drake Law School Dean Jerry Anderson and Ben's girlfriend, Miranda Keplinger. Congratulations, Ben. Would you like to come up and say a few words?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for that incredibly kind introduction. Over these past few weeks, as I've thought about all the things that I wanted to say and all the people that I wanted to thank, I've found it difficult to truly articulate my sincere and profound gratitude for having been selected to receive this extraordinarily generous award. It is undoubtedly one of the greatest honors of my academic and professional career to be here today, to be able to speak with you and thank you all for allowing me to be here. But most importantly, it is a tremendous honor for me to be recognized in the name of somebody who, in all regards and by any measure, represented the very best that this profession has to offer. I think, selfishly, I'd like to stand here and say that I earned this recognition all on my own, but it's just not true. I owe this recognition to all of the contributors to this, or all of the contributors of this award. I owe it to each and every one of my outstanding instructors at Drake Law School who, from the moment I stepped on campus as a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed first-year student, inspired me every day to be the best attorney I can be. I owe it to my family for their unconditional love and support that they have provided me throughout this entire experience, and I owe it to my loving girlfriend, Miranda, who is here today, who has believed in me from the very beginning and been my greatest supporter, and day in and day out has challenged me to be the best version of myself. And that's so important because having had the opportunity to learn about Linda and being here today, experiencing firsthand the impact she's had on Iowans and on our profession, I know that that's what will be required of me as I step into this next chapter of my life. I will have to be the best version of myself, not just for myself, but for this profession and for the people that it serves. So again, I want to express my sincere gratitude to all of the contributors of this award and to the committee for selecting me. Mr. Baker, thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to be here today and express my gratitude.
I think we're going to take a few pictures and hand the certificate off and then turn it over to Tom to give us the next directions on where we're headed.
Thank you, Bruce, for your contribution and everything you do. And especially thank you, or congratulations, Ben, on this great award. And Wayne, we thank you again for changing your holiday travel plans to be here to accept this award on behalf of Michael's family. And Michael, I hope that you know how much we love and appreciated your father. So I hope this is very fitting.